What's the stupidest thing someone has said to you with confidence? They laid their jacket right beside a stove. Don't worry, it's waterproof. Did they really confuse water and fire? Yeah. I just stared at them for a minute until what they said sunk in. If you ever fall out of a plane without a parachute, you should grab onto the ground when you hit it so that you don't bounce, because that is the bounce that kills you, not the first impact. He swore that it was true and that a skydiving instructor had told him. I believe the skydiving instructor told him that. But the skydiving instructor probably thought he was smart enough to get the joke. Was talking with a few friends and one of them got on the topic of going to a gynecologist appointment and said, well, while he's down there, he might as well do a prostate exam. Chaos ensued when she refused to believe that women didn't have a prostate. In my first semester nursing class at a community college, a middle-aged guy behind me confidently corrected the 3 female instructors who were demonstrating how to insert a catheter. If you insert the catheter tube into the vagina instead of the urethra, you're supposed to leave it in place until you can correctly insert a new sterile cath into the urethra. It kinda acts like a bookmark, so you don't make the same mistake twice. Anyways, this guy confidently informs the, again, female instructors that there's only 2 holes down there, not 3, one for poop, one for sex/pee/menstruation. And how could any idiot possibly mistake the anus for the urethra? Couldn't wrap his brain around the fact that there are 3 holes. Because if each hole had its own purpose, there would need to be 4 sex, pee, menstruation, poop. Needless to say, he did not move on to the next semester. ETA. The moral of this story is not that you are dumb if you didn't know women have 3 holes but now you do. It's that no one should be dumb enough to argue with nursing instructors who hold advanced degrees about the anatomy they possess and work with on a regular basis. Fortunately, I grew up knowing there were 3 holes because my mom won't say the word vagina. She called it the middle hole, which is so much grosser. When I was in grade 10 of high school in the US, so we were 15-16-year-olds, a guy in my class argued with me because he was insistent that the penis has a bone. Because, and I quote, "Why else would it be called a boner?" Interestingly enough, while human penises do not have bones, the penises of almost all other primates do. All other mammals. Seriously. Practically every mammal has a dick bone. It's connected to the hip bone. My brother-in-law said that black people have 6 toes. I'm black and said that isn't true. We actually argued over it. Shoulda just removed a shoe and showed him. Oh yeah. Well, see for yourself. Immediately proves your point, establishes dominance. The Greeks didn't have metal. Even to this day their cars are made out of a sturdy balsa. I had a roommate in college who visited Spain and thought that it was hilarious that people there commented on his accent. Per him, I don't have an accent. I'm an American. Tom, you're one of the reasons that people think that we're all stupid. In a similar vein, a friend of mine in college had a boyfriend from the UK. You would not believe how many people asked him how he was able to speak English so well. It was horrifying. I was having a conversation with someone from the UK and one of my friends complimented his accent. He said he liked our accents as well and she just goes, "We don't have an accent, haha." The look of utter confusion on this dude's face killed me. Had a buddy from Sheffield. He'd come visit us hillbillies TN every so often. Some girls we were hanging out with had just met him. One made a comment about his accent. She found it sexy. He said thanks. She asked if their accents were bad. He replied, "You sound like peeping cartoons." Sheffield. Sexy. Interesting undefined. A visiting professor insisted that daylight saving time is needed at latitudes closer to the equator instead of farther from the equator. She then claimed that she lived in the USA for a while and she had experienced DST herself. Her reasoning was that New York observes DST and New York was near the equator. When I pointed out that it snows in New York and it's not close to the equator, she claimed that she had been there and it never snows in New York. We live in India, within the tropics, and we don't observe DST, but she claims we are far from the equator. She was easily the most arrogant piece of speep I have ever met. She was wrong about so many things but aggressively yelled what she thought was right. LOL. As a New Yorker that experiences a speep ton of snow each year, that's hilarious. It literally snows from October to April/May here. Also, we do have DST. That she could never use a sperm donor to have a kid, because she wasn't 100% sure that the baby/child would speak English. It's probably for the best that she won't use a sperm donor. It would be best for her to never parent at all, no matter the means of child acquisition. When I was moving to Hawaii, I had a friend ask if they had cars/roads there. She believed they got around using tiny boats. Imagine saying you are from Egypt. Beep houses. All my homies live in pyramids. And travel strictly by camels. Nothing else. Space was created by Disney to further the hoax of space/Earth being round. He was dead serious. And he quoted his own brain after much research as his source. I wish I was kidding. Wow, what an idiot. Everyone knows Disney created the hoax of space in order to sell more copies of Star Wars. A distant cousin, who has long been a complete dumbass, once told me that whatever direction she is facing is north. It came up when I was on the phone giving someone directions and she was nearby. I said something like go north on X Street. Then take a left on Y, etc. She overheard me and said that I didn't make any sense because whatever direction you're facing is north. So north changes depending on which way you are facing. I said no. North is north. It's only the direction you're facing if you happen to be facing north, and she started arguing with me over it. She definitely was not just beeping with me because she is a dumbass that has a long history of saying really stupid speep. Your cousin is a compass, which is short for complete ass. I like this wording. My front desk gym rep. I gave them a 1-week free gym membership. March 27th to March 35th. And it would have been March 34th anyhow. Exactly. So many levels of dumb. They even hand-wrote a 1-week free membership card out with the same dates. I didn't see the card until the member came in the next day and showed it to me to check in for the day. They didn't even say anything. Everybody knows March 31st doesn't exist. When I went into the nuclear navy, I got the equivalent to a PhD in nuclear engineering in 6 months. All the real nuclear engineers just fell down laughing. Talk about brainwashing. Having gone through that program, I can attest that it rigorous. Having gotten out of the nuclear navy and going to college to study nuclear engineering, I can attest they are not the same. Oh. I don't believe in electrons. I've never seen one. Have you? No. I didn't think so. You can only get COVID-19 if you get bitten by someone who had it. COVID-positive people also have to be invited into your home. That's why I haven't gotten it. Nobody wants to visit me. People in high school didn't believe me when I told them that English came from England and was indigenous to England. Similarly, for some reason, someone in college insisted that English was indigenous to America. I was in NYC for a holiday and someone I was speaking to asked me if I was French. I said no, I am English, and she told me I wasn't speaking real English. I had to explain to her that that would be difficult considering I speak English and am from England. She did not see the irony. I wish there was a window in between us so I didn't have to look at you. That is amazing. That the way I'm pronouncing my own name is wrong. An aunt made my 18th birthday cake and spelled my name wrong. When it was pointed out, she said, "That's the way I spell it." She was insinuating that my mother spelled it incorrectly. The sibling shade is strong with that one. I used to work in a lab where origami was a pretty big thing. So there were origami figurines all over the place. Some guy comes to visit and comments on the figures and says those are nice. What are they called? Macram. I said they're origami. He responded, "I'm pretty sure it's macram. I'm usually right about this sort of thing. I'm usually right about this sort of thing." Well, obviously, you're not. I believe the ferrets have laid their eggs again in the attic. I hear them strolling around since a few days. I have so many questions. They probably mistook their semi-aquatic egg-laying mammal of action for a ferret. He's ferret. Ferret the platypus. How can it be 9 a.m. here Toronto and 6 a.m. in Vancouver? At the same time? A work colleague. Years ago. I tried to explain it but it didn't work. Undefined. Also. Thank you for the award. Kind stranger. I work with long-haul truckers and I literally had to explain time zones to one of them. It blew my mind. Didn't he wonder why the time kept changing? The company I worked for 20 years ago had a new saleswoman fly out from Chicago to LA. She's got a noon meeting in one of the hotel conference rooms with her client. But when she shows up it isn't ready. She bitches at the hotel, who agrees to get it ready in a hurry. And there she sits, in an empty conference room, for an hour, before calling the client to ask if they were running late. No. They said. They'll be there in 45 minutes. Just like they scheduled. She gets the sale. But when she arrives back she has nothing but venom about the trip. First the hotel screws up. Then the client shows up late and pretends nothing's wrong. And to make things worse my plane departed 2 hours late. Etc. That's when one of her co-workers asks about her watch. Did she remember to reset it once she landed in LA? What do you mean? Reset it? It's a Rolex. Doesn't it do that automatically? This reminds me of the Seinfeld episode where Kramer set his watch ahead a week before daylight savings time. Also the Veep episode where Jonah kept missing stuff because he forgot to set his clock back. And then he set it in the wrong direction. You shouldn't wear a seatbelt because, in the event of a crash, you're better off being thrown out of the car than being trapped in it. As an EMT, it would certainly be less paperwork. Right? Wounds incompatible with life. Chart. Done. I love that phrase, incompatible with life. It's such a careful wording, lol. His head is here and his body is over there. This is, in my professional opinion, abnormal from the typical human condition. And in your unprofessional opinion? A few of my co-workers and I went out to eat after work to a local bar and grill. One of my co-workers is pescatarian. Another one of my co-workers, Chris, is prone to speaking with absolute confidence about things he has incredibly little knowledge about. Janice Pescatarian orders buffalo shrimp, which is listed under a header of wings, and bites. Chris with supreme confidence corrects her and says, "No dear, those are wings." He got possibly the dirtiest look I've ever seen as the table started laughing at him uncontrollably. My old roommate and I went to dinner at a nice restaurant one night. I ordered a veal dish, and she got lamb. After our orders were placed, she started to scold me about how could you eat a baby animal. That's so sad and mean and disgusting. She apparently did not know that lamb was a baby sheep and had eaten it regularly all her life.